leg drive, look at him right there, leg drive, upper body swing, what, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. If you're a coach, hey, tell your athletes, this is how I want you to row. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome here from the BioRower workshop in Vienna. There were a lot of messages and requests from not just Australia, but also a couple different countries and teams. And they asked for, hey, could you do a review of that boat class? Would be super interesting. Happily do that if you're interested in that. Very happy to help you. A couple of interesting facts here. First of all, if you're not too familiar with that boat class, the Coxed 4 is today a stepping stone for the Coxed 4. So not everybody can make it into the 8, not everybody can make it into the pair or the Coxed 4. So the Coxed 4 is for people who are actually quite good, but they didn't make selection for the top boats. That, unfortunately, that's a reality in many teams. It may not be in every team, but for most teams, this is the case. Another thing is that the Coxed 4 needs to be rowed in a much different way. The minimum weight for Coxeds is around 55 kilos, and the minimum boat weight is 1 kilo more than the Coxed 4 as a shell. So we're talking about 56 kilos extra weight, which is 115, 120 pounds. So you have to calculate roughly 17 kilos per, so roughly 30 pounds, no, roughly 40 pounds per athlete. They need to move extra weight. And that requires a different physique buildup. So if I coach somebody of whom I know is going to be in a Coxed 4, I will do much more weight training and strength training than in a Coxed 4. It needs to be moved in a different way. You move more weight around. The other thing is that your rowing style is different. There's dynamics are much less unless you have a super light gearing, which is the case in some of these boats. At least I perceive this to be the case. And the stroke rates are typically not as high as you will see them in the Coxed 4. Hey, there's much more weight to be moved. Now, let's talk about the teams and the racing. Interestingly, Turkey, super great team here. Also very interesting later on, the Italians, Hungarians, and the Australians. Also the South Africans. This is U19. You see very good athletes emerging from these countries, and that promises a lot for the future. Let's talk about the Italians first. Of course, Varese, Italy, Bella Italia always in the picture, which is natural. If we look at their rowing, I love the way they move around perpendicular. If you've seen my former videos, I use the word perpendicular about 25,000 times in every video because it is essential. Where you move, your body mass will determine how the boat moves. It's that simple. Rowing is not so much about power. Well, it is. It's not so much about force. Well, it is. It's not so much about leg drive and arm pull. It's about leverage. And you want to create force and therefore power with leverage. Rowing is a leverage game. And one of the biggest levers we have is the upper body. So the upper body is detrimental when it comes to generating speed. And a lot of coaches focus on hard legs at the catch and hard arm pull, and these are side effects. The big game happens when you have a nice transition from leg drive to upper body swing. And the heavier the boat is, the more detrimental this becomes. Because body weight is always around. Question is, do you know how to use it? So the Italians, here, if you look at 3-seat or 2-seat, they know super well how to use this. That combo of arm pull with upper body weight usage, hey, that's excellent. We can look at this and say, mass. Nice tension here. He moves his shoulders back a bit too far, my humble opinion. Everything here is my humble opinion. That shoulder rotation at the finish, it doesn't create any extra length, maybe 1 degree, but it's the blade is already out of the water. What do you want to do? It's much better to leave the shoulder here, instead of bringing it back. It doesn't change anything, except it kind of offsets your trunk stability. I'm not a big proponent of that, but hey, a final. I mean, these guys are super fast. But my 50 cents to the story. All right, let's move on. The way to prepare is nice. He's got quite a bit of weight on his handles here at the catch. But again, he's able to, look at that, 2 seat, moves his hands up without much upper body rotation. There is quite a bit of upper body rotation. If you spot that, you're right. Yeah, the blade goes into the water. If somebody argues, hey, the blade goes into the water, it's towards the stern or towards the bow, be realistic. It's not going to happen in a race. There are very, very few athletes who actually manage to pull this off. That extra weight he put on the oar handle, this is what he needs to reduce from his hands just as he starts to enter the water. Therefore, the early upper body pivot. Now he tries to hold it. That requires a lot of force. That's not necessary. I would say 80% of all rowers have got this issue. If you lean forward just before the catch, you essentially I got a box here. So if I lean forward onto something, and that is far away from myself, and now I want to start to pull, well, first of all, I need to reduce that weight so my upper body is independent, so my upper body can move the very thing I just tried to lean onto. Logical? Okay, I hope so. And that's essentially always the case at the catch. So I'm reversing, now I'm going forward. At the catch, if there's a lot of upper body weight, so downwards, watch my elaborate cursor motion, onto the hands, boom, then of course the upper body will go up first. It's natural, there's not much you can do. You need to get the weight off the hands somehow, and that is quickest done with an upper body pivot. Is it good? No. Is it effective? Certainly no. But hey, you got to stay in the timing, because stop at the catch, everybody. I need to shift my weight. No, you have to do this on a preparation. So what do you do? Here, hands out, rotate your pelvis right along with the hands out, and make sure as you come to the catch, you want to unload your hands. This is why I'm a big proponent of getting your blades closer to the water. There's a lot of people do this, just blade work. They go. Oh, I need space to square. Woo, skydive. Then you want to start the drive. Your blade is miles away from the water. You can't wait. You can't say, stop, I need to prepare my blade. There is no time for that. You start to dive, boom, smack the water with a square blade. The upper body goes, whoa, shock a lot of energy. And that is essentially what's happening here. Does it make you slower? Yes, of course. These guys are under 18 or U19, so Max is 18 years old. Hey, that is good quality. I don't know many 18, 19-year-olds who can do better than that. Let's look at the Turkish. The Turkish pull off something extremely nice. I hope we see more of them later on, but look at that. Here, 2 seat. Yes, a bit of rotation, but so stable around the drive, around the first part of the drive, and then using leverage into a nice upper body tension. See, that's the shoulder position I was looking for. It is it is not that far back as with the Italian. It's also far back, but not as much. And the shoulder is in a much better angle to keep the entire trunk stable. That is essential for me. Now we get a short view of the Hungarians. They are not going to make a medal, but there are 1-2 rowers in there. Yeah, here they are. First of all, tandem rig. Look at them. Wow. 3 seat. What on earth are you doing? This is excellent. Leg drive. Look at him right there. Leg drive. Upper body swing. What? Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let's go back once more. Leg drive. Mass. Collected finish. Ha! So well done. Wow. You know, Attila Lorenz, a Hungarian junior under 23 national coach, and soon to be senior head coach as well. Well deserved. I mean, you've got an awesome crew. And these people, I mean, results will show in the future. I'm 100% sure. But for now, just having people who are able to row like this is fantastic. What an intelligent way to use leverage, tension leverage. I could study number 3 all day, but also number 2. You know, him right there. I know why they are in the picture, and that I gotta say, I'm starting to become a huge proponent of tandem rig. It does a lot of good. I understand why a lot of British forwards have that. It does make a lot of sense. Wow. Also, 2. Look how well 2 and 3 are combining this. I'm going all crazy about the Hungarians who are not going to make a medal. It's about rowing technique. In 10 years down the line, you will not remember who was junior world champion in the men's Coxed 4 2022. That decided how we think today. No, it's not the case. So I'm looking at technique. I'm looking at things to emulate, to copy, to look up to and say, wow. You know, if you're a coach, hey, tell your athletes, this is how I want you to row. Hey, you got that? Look at number 2 and 3. Look at number 2 and 3. They definitely have different physique. Upper body, and then see this? Straight arms, using body mass, working against the legs at a very late point of time, using upper body weight, using leverage, having a full body tension here at the finish. Boom. Hey guys, that is ridiculously good. This is superb A-final, Olympic final quality. You're stuck you're in the men's Coxed 4 Junior Worlds, but work. Continue to work, and time will tell. South Africans, very interesting the way they row. I know they have a lot of junior rowers. Here in that boat class, unfortunately, they don't shine too well. Here we got a legs to arms transition. So missing out on a big lever. If you compare this with the Hungarians, for example, I mean, I'm not blaming you, look how bad it was. I'm trying to compare styles. You know, nobody goes into that regard and say, oh, I'm just going to make a video analysis. No, nobody cares here. But in the aftermath, I'm trying to point out different rowing styles. It's not the athletes. It's the rowing styles, and try to talk about it. You know, what is good, what is not good. If you look at number 2 seed of the South Africans, there is a difference in the way he uses upper body leverage. So quite stiff arms at the catch. There's not that much going with the brigger. Having straight back, that is actually excellent. But now, when the upper body swing could take its effect, he starts to use his arms. So right now, here, you could swing, no swing, arm pull. I mean, but that is something you can quickly change. But then your question rightfully may be, arm. Well, why is it that South Africa is in the lead with this technique? There are things that make you fast for the first 1K, just from a technique point of view. You know, in U19, a lot of things are detrimental that I have no oversight of. Physiological development, the anaerobic threshold, trading history, physical development. Do we have accelerated developers? Do we have slow developers? So where are these athletes in a physical standpoint of view? If we look at them in 5-6 years down the line, everything will be almost leveled out. But for now, 18 years old, you actually have kids and you have adults racing against each other. And as a coach, the so-called talents in junior rowing are usually the adults, not the kids. But all of them are about the same age. This is what development with the juniors looks like. You know, some people have a slower development curve, physically speaking, than others. They depend more on their technique. Interesting study I heard about from soccer, by the way. Most of the so-called stars and famous soccer players were technically very good, but in terms of physical development, they were the slower developers. They were not the quick developers, the so-called accelerated ones. And that, for me, one of the reasons why I think this is true is that if you cannot rely on your physique to be superior because of your natural speed of development, of growth, of the hormones you've naturally got, then you need to rely on your skills. So you sharpen your skills at an age where other people don't need to sharpen their skills. They're deceived into, I'm physically superior anyway. Hey buddy, that's going to change when everybody's 25, okay? So this is, I think, why some of the superstars are actually not the accelerated developers when they're young. Good. Back to the topic. Look more at the South Africans. They row very much legs to arms, very much early upper body legs to arms. So there's not the same acceleration going on that you see with some of the other boats. If you look at the Turkish, for example, their drive has much more impact than the drive of the South Africans. Much more. So South Africa at the 1500 is still in the lead, but Australia and Turkey are closing in, so are the Italians. Good side-by-side shot. Let's talk about the Australians. They're going to win. Very interesting style for an Australian boat. It's actually quite surprising. Usually, Australians use their upper body significantly later than everybody else. Sometimes too late. In that case, it's actually not true. If you look at 2-seat, right here, legs, very early upper body use. What about 3-seat, right here? Very early upper body use. Interestingly, also in tandem rig in the Australian boat. Bow side stroke, very early upper body use. Washout. A bit of a speed comparison. Australia is at 20.2 kilometers an hour. Turkey at 19.7, South Africa at 19.5. I don't think that with this technique, South Africa is able to do much more. The question is why and what is it that makes Australia superior to everybody else? Because they're racing with Italy. Italy uses upper body leverage better than most others. What is it that Australia brings to the table that others don't? Australia, 1-seat. Here, bow seat. Look at his finish position. Nice swing around perpendicular. Early arm pull. That is about an ideal finish position. That is about as good as it gets. Shoulders are not excessively in a rear facing position. A lot of stability, upper abs, mid trunk. That is superb. Beautiful. Same with stroke seat. Excellent. There's a lot of, with 3-seat, I was wondering why it would wash out. I think there's a lot of shoulder rotation on the way forward. But that's very nice. You raise your arms in 3-seat without pivoting around the hip. So you don't use your entire upper body just to get the blades into the water. Excellent. But there are different rowing styles in that boat. Interesting. So the stroke, hey buddy, you gotta watch your back. This is, with the back that round, I fear there may be back injuries down the line. You need way more pelvic mobility. Because all that leg load had, the turning point of force is actually somewhere around the small stabilizers. So you don't transfer force around the hip joint, it's more in your low back. And that, if you do the same thing on the erg, it's going to hurt the next 2 years or so. So you use your upper body very early. So 3-seat does use his upper body very early as well. 2-seat has to use it very early as well. Bow seat is the only one that doesn't use it that early. Actually, clean entry of the blades. Blade work is good at the catch. Body masses come at 2 different points of time, but it is more congruent than with other teams. But there's something, I don't know if you can spot this, but what midship does very well, they use their upper body very early here in midship, but they do it as jointly as possible. In bow, with his different rowing style by nature, I suppose, tries to use the upper body intentionally earlier than usual to have a joint force curve. So what this boat has as a team, they've got an excellent feeling of how to find the point, the pivotal point of applying body weight force onto the blades. I think this is their secret. There's a lot of feeling of patiently waiting. When is the time when we're going to use leverage? When is the time we're going to use leverage? The body positions and postures are not optimal, by far not optimal. But the idea, the sensibility, the feeling for the stroke is remarkable. For U19 athletes, that's a level of maturity. I understand why you become world champion. Very interesting. If you compare this, for example, with the Italians have a very nice style, but they don't have the same, they're right here in the background, but they don't have the same patience. If you compare this with the Australians, look here, that patient feeling of when is the pivotal point? Now. You can actually sense that they've been going through this over and over and over during training. You can see the amount of thinking and sensing that is going into every single stroke. Now, as great and well as the Italians row, there's not that feeling for push, lever, and that's what the Australians do better than the others. Technique is not perfect, by far not perfect, but that sensing for when to move the boat along with body weight, although it's certainly not synced up as nicely as it could be, but just that intention creates the fine difference, so that we end up with something like this. Being conditioned to move the boat when it matters the most with the help of body weight. And body weight is undeniably the strongest force you've got. I think this is what secures them the title. Yeah, bit of a mishap in the Australian boat, but excellent. Hey, super well done, all the teams. Great work. I hope this analysis helped you. I hope my 50 cents are interesting. If you want to work with me, go to rmtraining.com. And if you want to join the Saturday live sessions on Zoom, rmtraining.com. It's got all the information. If you like the video, share it with somebody you think is interested in that. Help me grow the channel. Subscribe if you haven't. I think 80% of my viewers are non-subscribers, so let's change that, guys. All the best. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.